So today I'm picking up an old mini that I've had in my pile for literally 10 years. I'm picking up a Khorne Berserker. I got this about the time that I started playing, so today we're going to give it a quick table ready paint job and make him look good enough to play with. So let's take a look at our mini. I've re-primed this with Stynylrez black primer. And we're going to start off by doing some airbrushing to begin with to get the reds in. This has been primed previously with some rattle can primer, so a few of the details might be a little bit muddied. Plus, it's just an older mini with some softer details to begin with. Let's break down the colors we'll use for the red armor panels on our Khorne Berserker. We're going to start by saturating the colors with Misfits green, moving up through Burnt Red, then Seoni Scarlet, and finishing out with some subtle highlights of bright pale green. We'll also be using some Nightshade purple for some shadows later on, and a little bit of Flash Gitz yellow as well, but we'll see that later. So I've attached the mini to a temporary base, and I've loaded my airbrush up with some of that Scale 75 Misfits green. We're going to start laying that in, mostly from the top, a little bit to the sides, leaving just a bit of that black undercoat. At this point I'm going to bring in some Acryl Burnt Red and start overcoating what I've previously put green down on to create a nice rich deep red here. I'm going to do this in nice thin layers, just build up slowly, let it dry from the airbrush. Remember, little paint, a lot of air. Now I'm going to bring in some Reaper Seoni Scarlet and bring up areas of the red that I just applied where I think the light is most striking. Now I'm playing around a little bit here, but I'm bringing in some bright pale green into what I had with the Seoni Scarlet, and you'll see a nice white tone. It's a little bit pink, a little bit high, but I'm also going to knock that right back down with some more of the Seoni Scarlet. it makes a nice undertone on its own. This will give us some nice bright highlights without pinking out or going orange. So now I'm going to start bringing in the metallics, and to do so I'm going to start off with some Necrotic Gold from scale 75. I'm just going to coat everything down and get it filled in for now. Do some of the things like chains and what have you, I'm going to bring in some steel from Vallejo metal color. Same thing, we're going to be blocking in colors for now and then highlighting them later. going to go back to our red workup and finalize some things by adding in some Nightshade purple into some of the shaded regions of the armor. Alright, let's get out our Magimix. As Genuine Vision has told us, it's equal parts Nil and Oil, Agrax Earthshade, and Lamy and Medium. I'm going to use that to bring out some Recess Shades, and also to knock down some of the luster on the metallics that we just applied. I'm going to apply that to both the steels and the golds. Okay, at this point I'm going to bring in Seoni Scarlet again, Bright Pale Green, and also Troll Slayer Orange. I'm going to use these three colors to bring out edge highlights, a couple of brighter areas on the panels, and a couple of specular highlights all over the armor. The green plays off of the red as it is a complementary color, and mixing a little bit of that with the scarlet gives you a nice bright, kind of saturated color. I'm finding this one's a little bit too pale, so I'm going back in and adding a little bit of a glaze of Seoni Scarlet to it, and then going back and adding some Troll Slayer Orange to get some good highlights here. Play around with this a little bit. My red isn't as high as it could go, but it does get some nice edge highlights out of this. I'm not necessarily doing everything realistically lighting wise here, just whatever looks correct or interesting. So you'll notice I'm moving around the backpack a little bit upside down, and I'm adding edge highlights where I think they'll be interesting. Remember to blend your edge highlights as well. There should be a bit of a gradient to them. They shouldn't necessarily all be the same color. Use your darker colors where it's closer to black or very desaturated, and then use your brighter, more desaturated colors where it is already more saturated and a higher value. We're going to use a two-tone color workup on the tassel at the end of the sword, the eye lens highlights, as well as the eyes on the golden relief face on the shoulder pad itself. We're going to be using Surf Aqua as the high tone and Deep Ocean as the deep tone here. Both of those are from Reaper. We're also going to use these tones to edge highlight the black on the bolt gun itself. So keep in mind that we're using this as a way to add a little bit of a saturation into that, an edge highlight without going too deep into resaturating the black itself as a whole. Just adding a little bit of a light edge highlight to it. Alright, I've got a couple of skulls to do. I'm going to break out Mahogany from Pro Acryl, Citadel's Averland Sunset, and Pro Acryl's Ivory to do this. This is a quick 3-tone workup. There's one on the knee and one on the end of the tassel. We'll use various blends, working all the way up to the ivory as the high point. I'm not going to bring a high tone titanium white into this, just because it's not really a focal point in the mini. Time to do the metal highlights. We're going to use metal color Aluminium and scale color Elf Gold to do our highlights in both the gold and the steels here. Remember to pick a direction of light at the beginning of the mini, and when you're doing your metallics, whether true metallics or non-metallics, respect that direction of light. I'm trying to make highlights here in a general upward direction without a whole lot of focus. It's a little bit diffused, so I'm not too worried about it, but I want to make sure that I've got a little bit of differentiation between shadows and high points. And with those last couple of highlights, I feel like I'm done. In this model, it's at a point where I can field it on the table. Really all that's left is putting it on a base and giving it a nice clear coat. It'll be ready to go. Let's see about that. Boom, and then we have a base. We made this using some sand, some rock, and a little bit of technical paint, plus a grass tuft. So thank you so much for joining me while I painted this World Eater's Khorne Berserker. I'll be back on YouTube again next week, and I will be recording on Twitch as well on the weekend. Please join me. I'll be pushing for partner. Thank you so much, and have a great week. Paint some minis.